Welcome to the Personalities in the Workplace podcast. We're introducing you to an easy-to-understand conversation about personality types. Navigating the different personalities in your business can be tedious. We believe that once you understand what drives and stresses those you work with, you can better interact and steer others toward productivity and success. Today, we're focusing on our fourth personality type, the ENFP, who we call the Optimizer. This episode is sponsored by Sage Garden Care Center. We specialize in team trainings, executive and manager coaching, and employee optimization workshops. You can learn more at sagegardencare.org.
Greetings. This is Timogi, the Empowerment Specialist. Welcome back to Personalities in the Workplace with Chuck Taylor.
Hi. Good to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and so Chuck has laid the foundation for us about the Myers-Briggs Personality types. And today we're going to dive right into the ENFP. Chuck, what does that mean?
All right. So the ENFP is our extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving type individual. And we mentioned before, we've got these cards that are produced by Sage Garden Care Center. You can see them in the show notes, and they're actually on our Etsy shop, under Personality Shop. And each one of these cards have three different areas that we're looking at. So there's an avatar in the middle that gives a description of what the type is, and then there's a column of strengths, the strengths that that particular personality type has, and then the things that stress it out. So our ENFP is what we call the optimizer, and you see this gauge with the arrow all the way over on the big or full side, optimizing success for others.
Wow. So let's dive into the strengths of the ENFP optimizer personality type.
Right. So I got to be honest. Let me go ahead and qualify here. I'm a bit biased towards the ENFP type.
I wonder why.
Yeah, but this is my particular personality type, and I enjoy it. These are the preferences that I have. But so let's dive into what the strengths are. So the ENFP, very much like the INFP, if you listen to that in our last podcast, is very caring and engaging with individuals, very loyal, very committed to causes that they believe are important or socially important. But one of the major differences from the INFP is that they don't tend to stick around quite as long because they're extroverts, so they've got too many people to meet, too many things to focus on. But so their causes tend to be much more shallow. They don't stay with them. But with people, they're very engaging and really insightful and can pull stuff out of people. So they're encouraging, which is the first word we have there. When you're with an ENFP, almost always you're going to feel uplifted. Like they are encouraging you. They're making you feel good. They go out of their way to try to make people happy.
You're definitely an ENFP. Yes.
Right. And most ENFPs that I've met, that's what they say, is I really enjoy making people happy. All right, so the next part is inspirational, and I think this is a great word to describe ENFPs because they love to inspire people to become more than what they currently are, and that's where the optimizing characteristic really comes into. And so maybe a muse is a good word for this, where they're inspiring people to look deeper into themselves. What can you be? What can you accomplish?
Well, again, one of the major things I took away when you discussed the difference between the E and the I was that the E, the extrovert, they draw their energy from other people. That has truly stuck with me. So how does that ENFP, they're drawing their energy from other people while still encouraging people?
Right. So again, a great way to really begin to understand personality types is start doing a comparison between the two. So when you see 3 out of the 4 letters are the same, then you can start doing some comparison. So INFP is a great example of this. They tend to be committed to causes, ideas, and ideals. ENFPs are going to be committed to the people behind those, right? So you begin to see this in the fact that they're insightful to people, they're gregarious, they're enthusiastic,
Yes,
lively. Yes, I'm very gregarious. Right? And so how can I motivate and drive the people that are passionate about whatever it may be and help them? So, and here's the thing that's really neat, is because they have that perceiving component of their personality, ENFPs typically don't get caught up up in, I want to work with this type of person or that type of person. They just love everybody, just anybody. Come, let's talk, let's do it. And I want to propel you towards success in your thing. That's why we call them the optimized. They optimize what you do well.
Wow, 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 wow. So when it comes to is imagination one of their strengths at all?
Well, there's certainly a high degree of creativity that goes with
Creativity.
the ENFP, and maybe with creativity there's going to be some imagination that goes along with that. Another word that I like to use, and genuine is the word that we have on the sheet that pops out, is authenticity. ENFPs want to be very authentic, true to themselves, even to the point where they will sabotage themselves because they believe in a higher goal. I'll give you an example of where I almost did this the other day.
I'm going to wait for this over here patiently.
So I'm working with an organization the other day. I find out that they've already been working with a consultant in the area. And fortunately, my wife has been in my ear, and she said, listen, you need to take care of this or that. And so I find out they're working out with a consultant in the area. Now, this company's come to talk to me. I didn't invite myself into the conversation.
Right.
They brought me into the conversation. And I really felt this cause to say, hey, by the way, you are already working with another consultant. Don't you think you ought to ask their permission before you bring me in? And then I heard my wife in my ear going, that's none of your business, Chuck. They're here to hire you. You get there.
Write the check, people. When do you want me to start?
Right. But there's this cause for authenticity that really is born deep inside of ENFP personalities where they say, look, I want to be real. I want to be honest. And when I walk away from a job well done, I want to know that I was true to myself, I was true to my causes, and I don't have any regrets.
Real and honest. And really, I honestly agree with your wife that it was none of your business who they had worked with before.
Yeah, that's the play. I had to learn that one. This is a bit harder.
So, Chuck, the ENFP personality type has to be very versatile, huh?
Absolutely. Here's one of the fascinating things. One of the best compliments I've got, and I think this extends to most ENFPs that I've met, is ENFPs have this desire to get out and learn so much, to experience so much about people and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I had this lady come up to me one day and she said, Chuck, one of the things that I'm most impressed about you is you have this huge toolbox of stuff that you can do, right? You're willing to go try anything, you're willing to do anything. And I've called myself kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Mm-hmm. But what I really want to do is I want to be prepared to help other people. And so I am versatile in whatever circumstance may arise. And what I find with other ENFPs that are like me, and we talk with individuals who have this type, is because they have that intuitive side, possibilities are endless in their mindset. I want to learn about how to do this. I want to experience this. I want to try this. Now, there's a downside to the personality, which is follow through is not our greatest skill. So one of the reasons we're so versatile is we start a project and we stop the project, we move on to something else, and we just pick up a lot of opportunities.
And they're okay with not going back to the other project.
Absolutely. Yeah, I tell you what, I've started 65 books. I've written one. But they often tend to be really good at delegating because in a leadership role, they're going to inspire people to want to be a part of whatever it is they're doing. And people go, I want to be a part of that. Great. I want you to be a part of it. Here's what I'm bored of doing. Go do this.
And that's in the leadership role. But now let's look at it if you're the leader with an ENFP employee.
So an ENFP employee is great and is a lot of fun to have around. There are some difficulties that come along with it, though. Mm-hmm. Interesting enough, you have ENFPs, and people are going to go, oh, they're so fun, they're great, and they're happy, and they can deflect away attention from anything that they may not be doing well because they're just so much fun, and they're so good at what they're doing. I had a boss sit me down one time. He said, Chuck, you are a great employee. You're phenomenal. One of the best I've ever had, as long as you're here. But you have a problem with not showing up to work. Right? But I still had the job after that.
You can't have it all, sir.
That's right. So with our ENFP counterparts, it can be a struggle because they're easy to get along with. You like them, you want to hang out with them, you want to spend time with them, but at the same time, there's some follow through issues, or maybe they spend too much time talking to people and not enough time staying on the job, not focused on what it is that they're supposed to be focused on, and so you've got to keep them engaged. And I think you just have to be real and honest with ENFPs and be straightforward with them while still being encouraging and being kind in order to maximize the best leverage out of them. We want to take a brief moment here to tell you about Sage Garden Care Center and why we've made this podcast available to you. Every business can optimize productivity by educating their leaders, managers, and employees of their blind spots and pain points. We provide the knowledge and the tools to help you engage your employees to best contribute to the organization's success. We help you leverage their strengths so that you can trust they're helping your organization flourish. As an optimization coach, I help companies nationally and internationally unify their teams, effectively engage conflict, communicate well, and bolster their aptitude for success. Whether you work with a company, a church, an NGO or nonprofit, an education center, or anything else, we have trainings that will help your team. Learn more at sagegardencare.org and look for Chuck's Coaching under the Services tab. Schedule your free consultation appointment today, and we will discuss a plan that fits your budget, your needs, and your goals. All right, let's jump back into our conversation.
Good. And so these are all their strengths. They're encouraging, inspirational, insightful, gregarious, genuine, versatile, enthusiastic,
Yay.
lively, and engaging. But now let's talk about their stressors.
Right. And there's a big list of stressors here that can really hurt the ENFPs. And the first one I think is very critical is forced decision making.
Ouch.
We love keeping our options open, and one of the things, and my wife will tell you, one of the things I experience a lot, if you're an NFP, you've probably found this as well, is if somebody is making me make a decision on something, I experience a lot of anxiety because I don't know what I'm missing out on. I want to research. I want to think about it more thoroughly and go, okay, let's think about it. Now, when I make a decision, I'm good to go. I want to do it. I want to do it then. But making a decision before I'm ready can be too stressful.
Well, you know what's interesting? We talked once about that stand that you ordered at your office for your iPad.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I just went online and got it, and I probably could have saved some money, but I wanted it and I got it, right?
Yeah, right.
And because that's part of your personality. But what's interesting is I wonder, because I would have not bought one trying to find one for a better price, right? I would have spent the time to kind of save that money, but yet and still with your personality, that forced decision making, you just went in and got what you want.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, is starting off with knowing what I wanted. It took me a long time to get to the place where I figured out what I wanted. Then all of a sudden, that one day I went, I want a stand. I wonder what that would look. That's what I need to do. Then I started looking for my stands. Once I found the one I wanted, then price wasn't an option. I'm going after it. This is where I'm at. I need it yesterday. Right. And so this can be the struggle, is when ENFPs act, they act quickly and they act fast. It's getting them to the place to act that can be the stressful part.
Which is why the too many details
Overwhelming.
is too much for the NFP.
Listen, if you're going to talk to an ENFP, here's my suggestion to you, is go ahead and tell them the end of the story at the beginning. Here's the reason why I'm telling you this story. Don't do the details, because ENFPs are big picture folks, right? Mm-hmm. So you start giving them details and they start asking questions in their head like, why are you telling me the story? What is it that you need to know? I guess the reason you're telling me is because you need me to fix something. I guess the reason why I need to know this information is because I'm going to do something. And they have completely stopped listening to you, trying to figure out why you're giving them details. Whereas if you just said, listen, I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to hear the story because I just need somebody to listen to it. Then they're like, okay, well, that's fine. Now I can just listen to the detail. I don't have to do anything with it. Right.
Which is why micromanaging is one of the stressors for the ENFP. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So we go back to flexibility, right? Anybody that has that P in their type, flexibility is going to be huge. And ENFPs like to move around with great flexibility from personality to person. What is it that needs to be done in each situation? So they take it as it comes, right? And if I got somebody saying you need to do this and you need to do it that way, again, forced decision making, too many details, it becomes very stressful. And most ENFPs will push back against authority and
Ah,
and micromanagers.
are ENFPs late all the time? That's that's what I want to know.
Tomoji caught me when I was taking a drink of water. I would not say that ENFPs are late on all the time. I will say that we may not plan our time out quite so well, and we have a tendency to show up, at a decorative moment. How about that?
That sounds like they were late, Chuck.
Yeah, that's
Now,
possible.
I just need you to
That's
bring
possible.
that down to layman terms
Just
here.
late. Yes,
That sounded like late to me.
Yeah, I think there's a high. Again, anytime you got this P in the personality, there's a real strong risk that personality type is going to wait until the last minute to get.
But they're
things done.
late and lively.
They're late and lively, so when they show up, right, it's gonna be like Norm and Cheers. Hey, he's back. This is great. It's finally good to see him.
Oh my goodness! So routines and boredom
Yes. So,
stress these ENFPs out.
right. So structure my day, and I'm bored to tears. Right. Adventure is huge for ENFPs. I don't need to know what I'm doing. So one of the analogies we used in one of the other podcasts is in choosing where to go get something to eat. And I would say to somebody, let's go to the 7th restaurant, on the left on the 4th road, whatever that may be. Right, because that sounds fun. Because I don't know what's going to be there, and let's just go see. Let's do it for the adventure. Routines plans out the whole day. There's no adventure. The other part is if I'm not doing anything, if I am just bored out of my mind. Now this is for me particularly. I have ADHD, so this is it. But my wife is amazed. I'll often be in the kitchen watching a show on my iPad, putting away the dishes and cooking food at the same time while monitoring the kids and what they're doing. Right. And she's like, and if my wife were to if she has TV on, all she can do is watch TV. Right. She's just focused on that. But high energy, moving at a fast pace, being able to engage in multiple things at one time, that's where a lot of ENFPs live.
And so that is why inflexibility is one of their stressors.
Huge. Right, exactly. Right. So I need to have the flexibility to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. Now, look, let's be realistic. You can say that all day long in a personality podcast, but you put that in a workplace, flexibility isn't always a luxury that you're afforded.
Absolutely not, because there are deadlines. There are, if you're in some blue collar labor, there is no flexibility in certain aspects of that. And so when you have that ENFP in the workplace, how do you maximize having one of those present?
Well, so I think there's a couple of things you do. First of all, you got to have a conversation. I'm always going to answer this with you got to have a conversation with individuals. You got to know where they're coming from. And maybe flexibility looks like we're going to give you some flexibility to do this kind of job in that kind of way at that kind of time or whatever the case may be. But ultimately, what you want to make sure that you are relaying to the individuals is we have permission to give you flexibility over here. Like maybe you can come in later on Fridays or we can give you a shift, change of shift or what have you. What you can't do is be late when you're supposed to be at work, and you can't be not doing your job when you're supposed to.
But why?
I know. Poor, pitiful ENFP.
Yes. So what are 3 workplace tips for that manager who has that ENFP personality? What do you want them to know?
Well, I think first and foremost is enjoy the personality, but don't get conned by it, right? ENFPs are really smart. They're very engaging.
They're charismatic,
They're
aren't
very
they?
charismatic.
They
right?
smile a lot.
Yes. Don't let them get away with stuff that they're not supposed to get away with just because they're so friendly and they're so engaging. Have the hard conversation. Don't be a jerk about it, but have the hard conversations with ENFPs to make sure that they're staying on task and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Excellent.
So I think that's number one. I think number two is utilize their skills with people. ENFPs are good with people. You will almost always find people gravitating to them, looking for advice, trying to seek out some sort of guidance, something. Allow them to be kind of like your HR helpmates to help direct and give some guidance for the folks that are in your company. So that's 1 and 2. And I'd say probably the final thing to do with ENFPs is to just allow them to leverage their strengths. They got high energy. They can bring great charisma to a place. Allow them to bring that energy into a workplace and make it a happy zone.
And in closing, my mother had purchased a dog. My mother, who likes to be at home and relax, had purchased this dog. And whatever this dog was, it would run around the living room in circle. Jack Russell.
Oh, goodness. If that's not an ENFP dog, I don't know what it
I
is.
said, mother, you have no business with this. The dog would run up the side of the couch alone. And her and the dog did not live together long.
Right.
The dog was given to a very lovely man who still has the dog today, loves the dog. The dog is happy.
Nice.
Because he walks that dog and he takes care of that dog, and that dog gets to go outside and play.
Right.
And so, again, in the workplace, when we have these ENFP employees, we need to realize that they are lively optimizers, right, who get bored and stressed out from boredom and routines, right?
Yes.
So let's give them opportunities to be creative.
To excel. Absolutely.
And to excel in the workplace.
That's good.
Excellent. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you for listening to episode 9 of the Personalities in the Workplace podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to the personality cards that we mentioned, more information on Timogi Jackson and me, Chuck Taylor, a link to take your own personality assessment online, and much more. Each episode, we're bringing you practical, tangible, and engaging conversations that will help you gain perspective on the people you work with. Join us for our next episode, where we will discuss the Energizer, the ESFJ personality type. Is there something you want to learn about regarding personalities? Send an email to chuck@personalitiesintheworkplace.com.